I used to think betrayal was something sudden, like a lightning strike, sharp, unexpected, and over in a flash. But I learned the hard way that the worst betrayals are slow and deliberate, creeping in so quietly that by the time you notice the storm, it's already tearing the roof off your life. I met Emma when I was 24, in the lobby of the marketing firm where I worked as a project coordinator. She had just joined as a graphic designer, and on her very first day, she managed to charm an entire floor of overworked, coffee-fueled colleagues. She was the kind of person who remembered the name of the security guard and asked how your mom was doing after hearing you mention her once. It was impossible not to be drawn to her, and I was no exception. We started dating 6 months later. I thought I'd found someone who understood me better than anyone else. She laughed at my sarcastic jokes, listened to my late-night rants about work, and even pretended to enjoy my obsession with vinyl records. 2 years into our relationship, she moved into my 2-bedroom apartment on the north side of Chicago. Life felt steady, comfortable, safe. Jason had been my best friend since college. 7 years of inside jokes, shared road trips, and pulling each other out of disasters, both personal and professional. He was more like a brother than a friend. The kind of guy who could crash on my couch for a week without me caring. When Emma moved in, Jason started visiting more often. At first, I thought it was because he liked her company, and honestly, I liked seeing 2 of the most important people in my life get along, but there were moments I didn't fully understand at the time. Sometimes when I came home from work, earlier than expected, I'd find them sitting together at the kitchen table, laughing over something on her phone. They'd both look up when I walked in, and the conversation would die just a little too quickly. I brushed it off, telling myself I was being paranoid. They were just friends. Over the next few months, little things started to shift. Emma began pointing out flaws she'd never mentioned before, how I didn't help enough around the house, how I always seemed distracted, how I wasn't as romantic as I used to be. She said it all lightly, with a playful smile, but I couldn't shake the sting of her words. And every time I started to feel guilty, Jason would somehow reinforce her complaints. If I mentioned being stressed at work, he'd say something like, "Yeah man, Emma told me you've been a little distant. She just wants to feel like she's still a priority." It didn't feel like advice. It felt like a coordinated effort, though I couldn't prove it. Then came the moment that should have been a red flag the size of a billboard. One night, after too many whiskeys, Jason grinned and said, "If you ever mess things up with Emma, I'd take my shot." He laughed like it was a joke. I laughed too, but it wasn't the kind of laugh that reaches your eyes. Something about the way he said it stuck with me. The distance between Emma and me grew. She started staying out late more often, claiming she was meeting friends or staying late at work. When she was home, she seemed distracted, scrolling through her phone with a half smile that didn't involve me. Then, out of nowhere, she told me she was going to stay at her sister's for a few days, to give us both space. Jason showed up the very next evening, carrying pizza and beer like he was there to rescue me. He asked how I was holding up, listened as I vented, and then said something that made my chest tighten. "Look man, I've got to be honest with you. Emma's been telling me she's not sure she sees a future with you. I think she's just checked out." His tone was sympathetic, but there was a strange satisfaction in his eyes. I didn't sleep much that night. Or the next. I kept calling Emma, but she didn't pick up. My texts stayed unread. The silence felt like it was stretching, pulling me apart. On the 3rd day, I left work early, hoping to catch her at home. Instead, I found Jason in my apartment, holding my spare key like it belonged to him. By the door were 3 duffel bags. My duffel bags filled with my clothes, my laptop, even some of my personal documents. "Emma's moving out," he said, his voice flat, almost bored. "She just thought it'd be easier if you had some time to yourself first." I stared at him, trying to make sense of his words. "Why are you here? Why are you the one telling me this?" That's when he smirked. Because I'm moving in. With her, the words didn't just hurt. They rearranged my understanding of the last year. Every private glance between them, every whisper, every complaint they'd subtly planted, it all clicked into place. This wasn't some random shift in feelings. This had been planned. They'd been working together to push me out of my own relationship, my own home. I remember my hands shaking, my ears ringing, my mouth going dry. I wanted to throw him out, scream at him, break something, but I couldn't move. All I could do was watch as he picked up one of the bags and set it closer to the door, like he was doing me a favor. After he left, I sat on the floor for hours. The apartment felt hollow, stripped of warmth. Friends we'd shared as a couple stopped answering my calls. Later, I'd learned that Emma and Jason had told people I'd been controlling and emotionally distant. They'd rewritten the story so. They were the victims, and I was the one who'd driven her away. 2 weeks later, I got a text from an unknown number. "You don't know me, but you deserve the truth. Emma and Jason have been together for almost a year. She told him to push you away so she wouldn't have to be the one to end it." The message was from Claire, Jason's ex. She told me he had done something similar to her years ago, gotten close to one of her friends, slowly turned them against her, then left without a shred of remorse. It was a game to him, fueled by a mixture of rage and the desperate need for closure. I met them both at a cafe near Emma's new apartment. I didn't yell. I didn't even ask for explanations. I just told them I knew everything. Emma tried to deny it, but Jason didn't bother. He just sat there with that same smirk, like this was all some victory to him. "You two deserve each other," I said finally. Not because I thought they were meant to be, but because I knew they'd eventually turn on each other the same way. They'd turned on me. People like that can't help it. That was 8 months ago. I moved to a smaller apartment, cut off anyone who'd taken their side, and started therapy. I still think about it sometimes, the way they dismantled my life, piece by piece before shoving me out of it. But now, instead of replaying every conversation, wondering where I went wrong, I think about how I survived it. Betrayal doesn't always slam into you like a car crash. Sometimes it seeps in like a slow leak, quiet and steady, until one day you realize you're drowning. I've patched the holes in my life now. I've locked the doors, changed the locks, and learned that not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. I'm not the same person I was before Emma and Jason. I'm less trusting. Maybe, but I'm also stronger. And if there's one thing I know now, it's this. Some storms are a blessing once they've passed, because they clear the air and show you exactly who is standing with you and who is already halfway out the door. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and stay inspired.